All right, guys, quick intraday note here on the current positions. I've already been getting a lot of questions. OAS, UCO. Now, let me get into the thought process behind these and how we're going to have to hold through this because we don't know if these are going to ramp right away or pull back or what they're going to do. So we know we've got the big catalyst. This is very similar to the thought process, say, if you were trading metals post election here. And at that point, you don't know if it's going to run or going to pull back here, so you jump in. And it's the same thing here. Now, we've got the big catalyst. Everybody's been waiting for OPEC. The news that everyone wanted for this trade here happened after not being sure if it was going to, that OPEC has agreed so far to cut production. Now, crazy stuff always happens with these guys, so who knows what's going to happen going forward here. But we're going off that. That's the catalyst. And we know, at least with oil here, we've got a recent resistance level up here that could be very easily hit with this catalyst that we've got now. So we're giving ourselves wide latitude here. The question was, wow, this thing's up, at the time, like 15%. Usually you don't do that, and that's correct. Usually I'm not just going to jump in on a 15% move, but we know we have the big catalyst here. And I also know that it could pull back and digest some of this. So the entry here was at 10:03. I'm not getting excited that it's at 10:22. I've already got emails, hey, it's working out great. No, this doesn't mean much. It could pull back intraday. We're still intraday, a lot of days left. And this could pull back here to say 990, 980, 970, and I'm not going to care. It's set it and forget it. We set the stop here, right, to allow it to even pull back into the gap here. And then we'll see if it runs forward. So this is a hold where we're going to basically wait and see what happens here and not get too caught up in these intraday movements. So that's the idea behind this trade. And OAS is essentially the same thing. We're playing it off ERX here, and ERX is the energy ETF. And let me put it on the daily here. I've been day trading this one, but we can see here. Again, there is some room here, some big room to the upside, and we know OAS can beat ERX. So whenever I'm looking at the triple leverage ETF versus stock within that ETF, I'm looking for stocks that have the potential to beat the ETF, and we can see already 15%. OAS is up 25%. OAS is one of my favorites because it tends to be very volatile on these moves up. So the entry here was at 1460. If it pulls back in here, I'm not going to worry too much. It's set it and forget it. We've got our stop, and then we've got our target above 16. We're just going to see which one gets hit. So it's not that I'm entering here at these extended levels thinking they're going to run up right away. I just want to be positioned in case it does. Now, in the coming days, if these start to consolidate and I get another setup, then I'll look to some of the other maybe I take ERX, and these are some stocks I've been day trading today. It was mostly energies today, but you can see CHK, SN, CPE, SGY, LPI, WLL, REN. There's a ton of them. ATW, there's a ton of them you could be watching, and we will be watching for potential entries maybe later. But I wanted to get in a couple here on the move in case they run, and there's no way to predict if it's going to make a move like the steels did, where they just kept running, or if they're going to pull back, consolidate, and then run. So I want to be positioned for that possibility. And then if they don't and they consolidate, maybe I can even add a few more going forward. But we do have that big catalyst now that we've been looking for. So, also today, I talked about potentially taking a steel position, and steel is doing what we want it to do. So maybe later today, I might even add a small steel position. With these two positions, I'm not going to get heavy into them. So that's the idea here. Now, Facebook is actually pulling back to our stop level, and this happens sometimes. We're getting a big push into energies, and now there's a rotation, and it looks like the rotation might be out of the big tech again. So Facebook has pulled back. I'm going to give it to 118. LABU is still within our stop range. Twillo is bouncing nicely. Exactly what we want is back at our entry level. So again, that's the idea behind the energy plays here. Set it and forget it, like all our positions. So don't get too caught up here in the intraday movements.